as you describe Trust Loop, some of the things that you're describing are a part of what you would need for running a successful event, which brings me to Blue Vineyard for quite a while now has had an events software kind of as a service. And I'd love to hear about how those two might interact in the future for someone who maybe is currently looking for event software or who is a current customer of Blue Vineyard's event software.
Yes. So this is interesting because the events product that we developed, it was our very first tool. And I would definitely say that tool, that's a part of a product and a service for us. So it is a product that we made so people can have event registrations. And we very quickly realized that the problem that a lot of our church organizations had was not that they didn't have a good enough tool exclusively. It was also that they didn't have the people and the processes in place to effectively run those events without a lot of stress being dumped on somebody in the system. And so we offered that along with the service of us having a team member that is able to be on site to help with check-ins, to be able to manage the event registration process beforehand, to do allocations for campsites. Like it's a full service that we put together, and it was very, very helpful for the people that had the service. The interaction between Trust Loop and the events tool is that the events tool needs to be updated. It has got to the place where we developed an MVP, it was doing the job, but in order for it to go to that next level of professionalism, in order to be a really polished product, it needed to be rebuilt. And we had a choice. We could either invest in doing that, or we can use the infrastructure that we're building with Trust Loop, which already needs event functionality in it, and we can add the features to Trust Loop that would be required in the events tool. And since Trust Loop has been engineered from the ground up as a professional ready application, that you would be very comfortable with, that's very familiar, that feels like a polished professional option, it's much smarter for us to extend that product and make that product the new events version rather than continuing to redevelop something else from the ground up. It'll be a better experience for our customers, and it'll also mean that we can focus our attention on less products to execute on them much better. So
got it. That makes sense. I was having a conversation with someone talking about software, and you think about events, like, why do we need software? I've got spreadsheets. We can just keep track of the events and registration. There's things like Google Forms and things out there that we could use. And what we were talking about with when should you pay for software for that service is that when it saves you time, is that when you have an event and you've got hey, instead of having 5 people to do this part of it, we can do it with 3 people or 2 or 1 person, and that's where the software makes you more efficient. And that's when it's having event registration software and all the things that Trust Loop will eventually be able to do. It makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And I think it's important for us to recognize that a part of the when do you get the product, because people have said to me before, why not just use Google Forms, and I think it's a very fair question. But I think the real value that we've been able to bring is that because our team is Adventist, we have the understanding of how these things work, and our camp meetings, whether we like it or not, are very complex things that are quite unique. Yes, there are other complex events, absolutely, but we do things a certain way. We are a peculiar people, and this is one of the places where that shines through, that it takes a lot to make these happen. And what our very first foray into this field, just to put some perspective around this, what we did saved them a full-time, 1 FTE for 6 to 8 months. That was what it saved the organization for the original. And so when you can save that sort of time for an organization, that's meaningful, right? We're doing something that's actually impacting them in a really positive way. So, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Blue Vineyard podcast. For more episodes, information about our services, and more, please visit bluevineyard.com.